Hi, my name is Dan, and this is my channel Engelgeist. Thank you for tuning in. For those of you that are new, welcome to the channel. For those of you that are returning, thank you for coming back. I greatly appreciate you and your presence. This is the yearly predictive tarotoscope for the sign of Virgo. So this is Sun, Moon, and Rising, or planets heavily placed in Virgo. You would want to watch this video. It's going to give you a little bit of insight into what possibly your 2020 year may look like, month by month. Now, I'm going to give you guys the same speech that I've given every video. The deck that I'm using is a mini tarot deck called the Harmonious Tarot. The reason why I chose to use it is my intuition told me that 2020, I'm hoping, is going to be a much more harmonious year for us than maybe the last few years of what we've been experiencing. It being the number 2020, which is an angel number, it being rounded numbers, it also being the beginning of a new decade, to me all feels like there's a reset happening on an energetic level. And so I feel like there's a reset, but also maybe a push forward. So I wanted that to be reflected in the deck that I chose to use, and I started to think about the mini decks because they allow me to put up all 12 months on this tiny wood block right in front of you. And it makes for very easy camera work, and it also just sort of, I don't know, I thought that the Harmonious Tarot fit perfectly in line with what I feel like 2020 is going to convey to us. It's going to set us, I believe that there's a setup that's happening for all of the signs where we shift into more harmony to move into the next decade. And that's what I'm hoping for, at least. So that's the deck that I'm using, amongst two other decks which I'll explain later in the reading. Ways you can support my channel. If you like these videos, please feel free to comment on them. Please feel free, because this is a yearly video, you can always come back and revisit as you go throughout the year and re-look at it. I do monthly tarotoscopes too, which will add to that. But please share it, give it a like, share it with your friends. Check out the other signs. If you date somebody that say is a Sagittarius, go look at Sagittariuses and maybe share it with them. Please help me get the word out. Any sort of social media presence is an added benefit for me, and I appreciate all of it. The other thing you can do is I'm new to Instagram, so you could follow me on Instagram, Engelgeist333. I won't fill up your feed full of like garbage. I just post maybe once or twice a week, but I appreciate the support there too. And if you do hit the subscribe button on YouTube, make sure to hit the bell so that you're notified when I do go live, okay? That's another thing that you might want to do, because there's a great community of people that tune in every morning for the forecast, and you would be able to interact with them alongside interacting with me. Right now this is going live, but I don't have a chat box up, so I cannot see any comments that are being placed if you're watching this via YouTube or via, actually I don't think comments can be placed via YouTube because I don't have enough subscribers yet, but via the Facebook business page, if you are commenting and I'm not responding, the reason is I can't see the comments right now, okay? But feel free to comment if you so choose. That's fine. I just may not be able to see it until later once the video is complete and up and posted. So as I'm shuffling the cards, I'm just sort of setting the tone and asking sort of the powers that be to allow me to see into the year of 2020 for anybody with a sun, moon, or rising in Virgo, in the sign of Virgo. Also, I'm going to say this too, I always caveat these year-long readings with this idea. As we get further out into the year, I believe that the cards become much more open and malleable, so we can make choices and changes with free will. That doesn't necessarily mean that what we see in these end of the year cards are going to be exactly what happens to each and every Virgo, right? That would just be absolutely incredible if I could pull that off. I'm not saying that I don't believe spirit could, but I just don't know that that's necessarily always going to happen. So I say this: do not live your year through my predictions. Please live the year that you choose and that you want and desire for yourself. That's most important. Take what you want and what you see here that works for you, cultivate those things, and leave the rest, right? If anything doesn't sound right to you or sounds like, oh, I don't want that to happen this year, then you can create, you have the power to create the year that you want to have, right? This is just a sort of a guideline or an insight into what might be happening for the majority of the Virgos, right? So some of this may pertain to you, some of this may not. All of this may pertain to you, all of this may not. It's really kind of up to you and your own internal guidance and intuition. So utilize this reading as a tool or maybe a map, but it doesn't necessarily have to be your complete and total destiny. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So let's get into it and see what the Virgos have in store for them. All right, so starting with January, we have the Three of Pentacles. So to me, this feels, this is a nice card. It sort of feels like there's a nice balance here. Feels like there's a little bit of a peace. I'm not sure of the 2019, how it's been for you guys, but it feels like January is going to be a mellow month. This will be about focusing on sort of material things, but I feel like there's not like an intensity of focus. I feel like there's a leisureliness to it. This sitting figure here and this person in repose here, like laying down. It sort of feels like to me like we're sort of tinkering around with ideas. Where do we want to be? What do we want to do this month? How do we want to make it happen? But I feel like Virgos tend to be very, I feel like you guys think a lot and tend to process quite a bit. And to me, this January looks more like you're actually giving yourselves a little bit of a break. The focus will be on things of a material nature, maybe relationships, jobs, money, but it doesn't feel super intense to me, right? It feels like this idea of, okay, where do I want to be? What do I want to do? But it feels like there's a sort of an ease to it that I actually like. It feels like you guys are entering into 2020 in a very practical yet almost graceful way. If that makes sense, it's like being sort of logical and realistic would be something that I would describe this card, or that's the word that I'm feeling as I'm looking at this card. And there's like no stress to me. Now, there might be some of you that are Virgos with other risings and moons and things like that those readings may factor in, and you might be entering 2020 in a lot of stress. For those of you that are experiencing that or feeling like you're in a lot of stress in the month of January, I would say to take this card and use this as an advice, which it's saying, calm down, relax, know that you can sort of create what it is that you want without having to struggle. Allow yourself to find some ease around the desires that you may have or the things that you want to create. Now, some of you, I really do believe you guys are going to be aware of that and be creating from this place of ease. And I think that there is a nice, like, relaxed feel to this card that says to me that you guys are maybe coming into 2020 feeling not necessarily overly confident, but there's such a sort of like an ease to it that it almost feels like a confidence for some of you. So some of you might have had either a really rough 2019 and you're like, wow, anything can be better than this, and you're moving into 2020 full of hope and desire for new change. Or you might have not had a bad last 6 months and you kind of are relaxing into sort of what comes next and being open to that. But I do feel like there is an ease here, and it's quite, it's a nice way, I feel like, to start out the year. I also think it's very in line with winter and it being the month of January. There's this aspect to this where I feel like we're sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, protecting our energy or not protecting it per se, but like conserving our energy for maybe things that are going to happen later in the year. So January is not like this. January is a year or a month of sort of like tinkering with ideas, tinkering with like the visual that I'm getting right now is sort of like we're working on the engine of of our life, right? We're tinkering with the motor of our life, right? We're doing little small repairs here and there. We're kind of looking at little details that we may want to manipulate or fix or change. We don't necessarily have to get into the big heavy work of it in January. We're just starting to like tinker with those thoughts, play with them, and know that we can sort of, from a place of ease and grace, sort of start to begin those changes as we move forward into the year. So let's see what's going on in February. Oh wow, okay, so February is all about that moving forward. We have the Knight of Swords, and he is definitely going this way. Like, he's moving on into the further part of the year. Now, to me, the Knight of Swords, and he's not only like, not only is he moving, but he's like charging. The horse is rearing back and like ready to go. So that to me says that there is like a swiftness or a pickup in energy that might happen in the month of February for my Virgos. This is about, Swords is about the element of air and intellect, right? And oh, I gotta say this too, Pentacles is the element of earth, which is your guys' home element. So I like that you guys are starting out in a place of feeling comfortable and relaxed within this pentacle energy of the earth energy, right? So we're maybe like mulling over in January while it's cold and it's a little bit like, you know, introspective time. We might be mulling over what small changes we can make here or there to sort of get ourselves to where we may want to be further down the line. It's sort of how this Three of Pentacles feels, right? This Knight of Swords is the actual like building up of that energy is what I'm feeling. It feels like, and what I mean by building up of that energy, it's like putting the actual, the ideas that we were maybe tinkering with in the month of January, putting the actual thought, energy, intention, focus on those ideas and beginning to move them forward in a very planned, methodical, these are traits that are very, you know, Virgo to me, I feel like. But it's sort of where you guys shine the most, like taking sort of clear, concise thought and utilizing it to sort of propel yourselves forward. So February is going to be the place where I would think you start to come up with the actual, uh, what do I want to say, like the sort of the plan or the map to where it is you want to go in 2020, what it is you want to do in 2020, and actually putting those ideas into effect. So if it's like, I want to make my relationship better, then you start to put in February, you start to really get those ideas of, okay, this is what I'm going to do, this is how I'm going to move forward. And you're doing it from a place that's very fair, because this is a Knight card. I feel like Knights are always about protection, security, fairness, honor. So I like that this is a Knight in that sense, because I feel like we're honoring ourselves in the month of February, but we're also honoring those around us in the way that we go about getting the goals that we want, right? And so February will be sort of like a kickoff period where we might find ourselves starting to really focus on our thoughts, focus on our desires, and move forward in those desires with sort of like a clarity and no nonsense attitude that we're not sort of going to let anything stand in our way. Does that make sense? So there's and the reason why I say that is this sword here to me feels like this Knight will cut through whatever it needs to in the month of February. Like it will make its way, and it's like there's no stopping it. This almost to me is giving me a little bit of Chariot vibes, although it is not the Chariot card. But this horse rearing back is really pulling my attention and really pulling my focus. And then this clear-cutting sword, like leading with our intellect, leading with our thoughts, leading with our clear-minded ideas, and moving forward in sort of strength and in like with no sort of apprehension whatsoever, is what I want to say, okay? The next card is for March. Beautiful. We're back in that Pentacles energy again. This is the Eight of Pentacles. And so when I look at this, I feel like, what is she holding there? Let me just see. I'm blind as a bat. It's a small statue on a pillow. Interesting. So, to me, I feel like this is about the furthering of this Three of Pentacles that we started out with. Again, we're back in our Earth energy, which is our element in the month of March. This, to me, is all about sort of the creation of more abundance, of more wealth, the learning of that, I feel like. I also feel like she is sort of, the way that she's holding this little statue to me, it's almost like we're presenting something. We're presenting some sort of idea, we're presenting some sort of gift, some sort of like inspired idea that maybe we created in the month of February. We're now like ready to sort of put it into action or start to see the manifestation of that through the material plane, right? So what I mean by that is, all right, let me use an example. I'm just going to use, say, like, and this can be applied to all different aspects, guys. When it's the realm of pentacles, I always see that as the material world, right? The environment around us, how we affect that environment, how we gain more material wealth. That can be just money, that can be love, that can be like, you know, enhancing our home surroundings, that sort of thing. So this Eight of Pentacles here in March says to me that some of you could be making your home a little bit better. You could be putting those plans into action. But what we were doing is we were coming up with the thoughts and the ideas. We were mulling about with them like in a leisurely way in January. We got very clear on what we wanted and started to take action in February and move forward in that with like sort of a preciseness and a sort of can-do attitude that's not going to stop us no matter what. And then we start to actually put that work into effect. We start to see the sort of the payoff or the actual physical manifestation of whatever it is that we want, right? Whatever it is that we were tinkering around with at the beginning of the year, we take action in February. It starts to come in March. And it comes in, like, to me, when I'm looking at this Eight of Cups, it's going to come in a very, the word palpable comes up in my mind, in a very sort of, I want to say like almost obvious or palpable way. And the reason why I say this is that she is holding this statue. When I look at this statue on this pillow, it's like she can't miss it. She can't mistake it. So, to me, she's actually holding a physical manifestation of whatever it is that she's been working on, right? So, if it's a relationship, say we were tinkering around with the idea of making the relationship we have that's existing better, or maybe we're thinking about, for those single Virgos, we're thinking about the creation of a relationship. Well, come February, when we really put our mind to it and start to move forward in those ideas of however it is we think we're going to make this relationship better or create this new relationship, we start to see that creation really come into reality in the month of March. So some of you single Virgos might actually start to see the ideas or start dating in March, right? Where the actual physical manifestations of what it is we've been pondering start to come into being. This could also be the earning of more money for those of you that were focused more on money back in January. But whatever you were focused on, you will start to sort of see the results come March. Now, the next card, funny. The next card for April is the Chariot. I called out that Chariot energy in this Knight of Swords. That's crazy. To me, it feels like she's hopped in this Chariot, and now she's headed on to something else. There's bigger and brighter things that are going to open up and will start to become available to us in the month of April. Be aware of that. Keep an open mind, keep an open eye, keep an open heart, and be willing to sort of take the risk and move forward is what I'm hearing from my Virgos. Don't be fearful. Don't let... See, I think that you guys like to be a little bit more methodical and a little bit more grounded, and that's all of this earth energy that we have here. But this Knight of Swords, although he is grounded, because knights are very honorable and sort of appear as though they're grounded, he's moving forward quickly here. Then we slow down the energy a little bit here and start to see the physical manifestations of whatever it is we're trying to bring in. And this Chariot is about moving forward with a swiftness, with a sense of purpose, which we're used to as Virgos, right? But the swiftness might feel a little bit daunting to us. That's the sort of extra impact that this Major Arcana card has. So I'm going to say the first 4 months of this year, when I look at this, there's a lot of movement between this Knight and this Chariot here. So things are going to move kind of quickly, even if you tend to want to sort of slow things down at times or try and take a break. This ease or relaxation that's happening here in January may very well be needed because of all of the movement I see in these two cards here. Trust this movement in April. I want to hammer that home to my Virgos. Whatever's going on for you guys in April, whatever changes might be seeming like they need to happen or are happening, they might even seem like they're sort of happening outside of our will. Allow them to happen. They will be beneficial. Okay, that's like what I'm hearing. We have to trust ourselves, and I think that we can with all of this earth-based pentacle energy, which is our home element. It is our sign. So even if we don't feel super self-assured, we need to trust the universe and let ourselves be carried. Okay, it's going to be significant and have a long-term impact for the rest of the year, is what I'm feeling. Now the next card is for May. Wow. Okay. So May is Temperance. Again, another major arcana card. I feel like April and May is sort of maybe going to be a significant period this year for you guys. This has, again, a little bit of a push and a little bit of extra energy to it being major arcana. But Temperance is always about this angel that's sort of pouring this water between the two. It's about keeping balance and sort of keeping things mellow. This is that sort of Virgo need for control, I feel like, where you guys are going to want to sort of still continue to like be productive and still continue to create, but there is this need for balance within you. And this card is here to show us that we can learn that balance. I also like that there's an angel here in this card, which speaks to me about the idea of spirit and trusting sort of our angels at this time during this month, trusting our intuition during this time during this month. We might need, after the movement that we experience from this chariot in April, we may need to sort of take this like in breath of this Temperance card in May, right? Where I think that we're still moving forward in a big and significant way, but we're moving in a way that is a little bit more balanced, a little bit more like the pace isn't as intense as the chariot, but we're maybe moderating it or balancing it a little bit. And I don't think, again, I have to say with this Temperance idea, when we have this angel here, to me, again, this is about trusting. Similar to trusting this chariot, it may feel a little bit out of control, or things might be feeling like they're moving a little bit too swiftly in the month of April for you. Don't worry, it will sort of come back round and sort of mellow out and still continue to move forward, but the pace will slow down significantly in the month of May. There might even be like a slowing where, what I'm hearing or sort of what I'm feeling is we might be sort of by the end of April, we're sort of used to this fast moving pace, and even though we may not completely know where the outcome is going to be or how it's going to turn out, we know that we're moving on to bigger and better things. When Temperance comes around, things will slow down, and we'll start to, maybe some of us, I'm hearing, may start to even doubt that we're still working towards the goal that we wanted, or that we might doubt that we're getting there fast enough. We might want that speed of the chariot back. We need to like give ourselves this break, give ourselves this time of Temperance, trust our angels. That's this angel in this card. Trust our spirit guides, trust our own intuition, and allow ourselves to sort of take this moment as a period of rest and a period to recharge, and also know that we are still moving forward in a very significant way, even though it may be more subtle or less obvious. Okay, so that's May. Here's June, our mid-year card. So this is the Three of Swords. Now this is usually sometimes betrayal, but I don't feel that this is a betrayal situation here. I feel like, let me look at this for a minute. What is going on here with this Three of Swords? When I look at this Three of Swords, when I ask the card sort of, or spirit, what's going on here, what's happening here, this is about the revisiting of some old thoughts or some old pains that are going to come back. And the reason why I feel like that is what's going on in the month of June, some old stuff is going to resurface. There is this like last moment, or this feels like this is the month where maybe some things that we didn't necessarily think that were still around. Some feelings or thoughts or ideas that we didn't know were still maybe lurking in the background might come to the surface. And part of the reason why I say that is this is again the symbol of air and the intellect, but it's around thoughts around the heart. This heart is really pulling my attention, and this angel here, which is sort of like connected to this angel that we see in the Temperance card, it feels like he's pointing you in this direction, like let's move forward, let's keep going, don't worry. And there might be this this sort of trepidation or this fear, these old thoughts or these old ideas that might come up or come back to the surface, old situations, right, that might present themselves in well, how do I want to say this? Like, we might find ourselves dealing with situations that are familiar to our past that caused us a certain amount of pain. And because of that, we are maybe looking at, we're like sort of looking at these situations or these feelings again, or maybe experiencing situations where people are reminding us of past situations. This could be significant others, this could be loved ones, this could be whatever it is, it's drudging up sort of these old emotions that we maybe have thought were gone. And or it's like these sort of old reminders or situations that are similar to situations in the past that caused us pain. But as they come up, what's happening in this month, I think, is key and significant in the fact that we've just come through this Chariot, we've just come through this Temperance card, right? So these are big, significant cards that are leading us to this place where it's time to sort of dredge up these old emotions, these old thoughts. We might be experiencing situations that are annoying us, causing us pain in the month of June. But really what's happening is there's sort of a spiritual clearing that's happening here. There's a spiritual sort of awareness that's coming about, an intellectual awareness in our thoughts or in how we think, where we become a little bit more aware of where we might be blocking ourselves or not opening our hearts to things, not allowing ourselves to sort of move forward for fear of something similar to a past experience coming into our experience yet again around a certain situation, right? That might be a new relationship, a new job, an old job, whatever it is for you at that time. Be mindful of the fact that, are you holding yourself back? Are you the one that's keeping this heart pinned in place? Are you the one that's sort of like trying to hold back and not allow yourself to sort of feel or acknowledge or clear away your sort of fears and thoughts around that situation? If you trust Spirit, which is sort of like this Cupid or this angel here, I feel like he will bring you, your spirit guides, your own soul, your own spirit will bring you forward. That's why his arm is pointing like this direction. Come on, let's move away from this. It's time to sort of do that work and let go of that. Like, pull these swords out of this heart and let your heart shine again, right? That's what I'm going to say about June. And I feel like June, that will be significant for a lot of you too, in just sort of your general overall feeling of well-being, okay? So July is, wow, the High Priestess. So again, another major arcana card. This is a fairly beefy period between April and July. Not that the High Priestess likes to be considered beefy, but here there's this opportunity to sort of rejoice. I feel like if we do unpin this heart and we do sort of let go of some of these limiting thoughts or beliefs that maybe just only serve to hurt us or keep us in one spot, if we listen to this angel, if we listen to our soul, if we listen to our spirit and we trust our heart, we can move forward and we can move into this position of this beautiful High Priestess card. When I look at these columns, she has a balance of light and dark, which I've never noticed that in this card, and it's shown up in a couple of other spreads for this year, for these signs. But we have this dark column and we have this light column where she's embracing both sides of herself, right? She's understanding the strength that's found in both of them, and that's sort of this heart work that we're doing here in the 4th chakra in the month of June. By July, we're able to sort of relish who we are and accept who we are and really see the beauty of who we are. There's a power and an intuition in the High Priestess that's very strong. There's also a sort of withdrawn sort of secretiveness or a higher knowledge that comes with the High Priestess that we sort of are able to like manifest or keep to ourselves or keep and utilize for ourselves versus like, you know, the need to sort of give it away or use it for others. So I think that there's a definite, like, July is about sort of coming into our own awareness of self and honoring that at a very deep and profound level, trusting our own intuition after having gone through this month of June and doing this work. And as we do that, we really sit in this place of feeling self-assured, feeling sort of quietly confident and aware of our capabilities, our intuition, our strength, and also being aware of our authenticity, our light side, our dark side, having, you know, maybe done a little shadow work here in June, and we also see this shadow reflected in this dark column plus the light in the light column, but there's a balance, there's an equality, there's a strength and a support there from both sides where we're embracing ourselves more fully and wholeheartedly, and we are able to do that because we did this sort of heart work here in June. Now we've got August. So August is the Six of Swords, and I'm going to say that we go back to doubting ourselves. This feels a little bit like there's this, as I'm looking at these cards and I'm looking at everything, it feels to me like the Virgos are kind of going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It sort of feels like there's this balance that's happening, or there's this, and that's definitely reflected in this Temperance card, but there's this sort of idea of matching your creative abilities and this earth-centered nature that we see in the beginning of the year to this sort of mental cards that are happening in the second portion of your year, right? Where we're trying to get our thoughts sort of in line with our emotions, with our true power, with our true sense of self. Like trying to, I honestly feel, and I'm just going to put this out there, if for those of you Virgos that are offended by what I'm going to say, I'm sorry, but I'm just going to say this. With this Chariot card, this Temperance card, and this High Priestess here, it really says to me that there's a sense of power and grace and beauty within each of you Virgos that you guys are not acknowledging. That I think that maybe there is some sort of point throughout the recent years where you've lost sight of that, or you have not given that enough credence, or devalued that in some way, or allowed maybe the outside world to sort of dictate to you what you're worth or what you're should be acknowledged on. I would go so far as to say maybe confidence has not always been very high in the recent years, because I look at these three cards here, these three majors, and I feel like they are here to teach you or to remind you who you are and what you are about. And that's also reflected in this Eight of Pentacles, this Three of Pentacles, this Knight of Swords. These are beautiful cards, right? But it's like, it feels to me like you hold on to it for a little while and then you fall back into these ideas of what others think of you or how others have treated you, and when you entertain those things, like I feel like is happening here in this Six of Swords card for August, it feels like there's a confusion that starts to take place again. There's a not necessarily a clarity of thought again, like something maybe takes us off of our, how do I want to say this? Our ability to sort of see this, the beauty of this, and the strength that's within this High Priestess, right? And this High Priestess, I have to go back to this place of this dark column and this light column. It seems to me like she is vulnerable and she is very human, right? She's powerful because she's the High Priestess, but she also has her sort of frailties, or her defaults, right? Or, you know, her not misgivings, but, you know, she has her strengths, but she also has her weaknesses, is what I want to say. And we might be more okay with that in the month of July. In the month of August, it feels like those things might serve to sort of confuse us again, or people might point those things out to us. And I feel like these swords are kind of going every which way, and it feels like mixed messages are happening, or we're letting too much of the outside world back in to sort of affect us. Now, I have to say this. in these 4 months of the year, we have this Temperance angel, we have this Cupid here, and then there's this other small Cupid here. And I really feel like these angels are carrying you through. And with the strength of this High Priestess here in July, there you have to trust your soul. You have to trust the strength of your own spirit, and you're gonna really need to rely on that in the month of June, because this is gonna be a little bit of a transformative, eye-opening month for you. Because I really the vision that I'm getting as I'm looking at this card is that my Virgos are going to need to remove each and every one of these sort of memories, these ideas, these thoughts from their own heart. Each of these pains, each of these slights. You're the owner of the heart. You're also the owner of these swords if you allow them to reside in the heart. So it's up to you to remove them and no one else. You have the strength to do so. Definitely have the strength to do so. But you have to be willing to do that work. For those of you that are willing to do that work, you will come out on the other side with an imbued sense of grace, strength, awareness of self, both positively and negatively, that sort of thing. But she embraces who she is as a whole. Now, with the Six of Swords, to me, this feels like, again, we're sort of trying to match our emotions to our thoughts, and we might get a little bit of conflict there. We might get a little bit of uh, a struggle or a rub, right? Because, I mean, you guys are, the emotional signs are the water signs, right? Which is Virgo's complement, is Pisces, right? Which is the 6th and the 12th sign. And so, you know, Virgos teach Pisces, I believe, in a certain way of how to be in the world, and Pisces can teach Virgo a certain way about how to be in the world, right? We hold the other side of the spectrum for each sign. And so the water signs, they tend to be more emotional, and they tend to be able to operate and have more of a higher emotional intelligence, where the earth signs have more of a, like a, I don't know, a drive, a grounded, sort of more earth-based presence, where they're able to capably create on the earth plane from a place of practicality, directness, perseverance, that sort of a thing. And so this to me feels like there's this opportunity here where we've done some like work here at the sort of mental level, right, with our thoughts, and we've sort of like allowed ourselves to see where our thoughts sort of affect our emotions and sort of start to pull the pins out of the grenade, so to speak. And as we're doing that in the month of June, July feels good to me. We feel like we're able to embrace ourselves. But then August feels like, again, we have to sort of revisit those aspects of ourselves and sort of bring them into balance. We are helped, we're not alone in this. With this little Cupid here, he is still doing the work. I feel like we will be doing more of the work because the Cupid has become smaller. It's the same Cupid to me that's here, but we have done more of the work and we're more prepared to do this work. And here's the thing, guys, I really think the Virgos for 2020, you guys want to be doing this work. You want to be making these changes. You want to be making these adjustments. You want to be releasing some of these emotional things, or these like outdated thoughts that you carry with you that cause you a heavy heart, or hold you back from realizing your true potential and your ability to create on the material earth plane. Because you guys, you, the Capricorns and the Taurians, you all like are wonderful manifestors of sort of physical creation. So embrace that. But to do that, I think that there's also this balancing that needs to take place between the thoughts of the mind and the sort of the emotions of the heart. And that's what I see going on in 2020 for my Virgos in these first 8 months, right? Is this sort of coming into, like, getting glimpses of your greatness, getting glimpses of what you deserve, getting glimpses of what you truly desire, but then also having to stop and go back and do the work to sort of undo the thoughts that limit you or don't allow you full access to those higher aspects of yourself, which are represented in these major arcana cards. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So the next card is for, that is August, so this would be September. September is the Ace of Wands. Beautiful card. So we go back, we revisit, right? It's not as painful as June, right? June has this giant heart here, and we're like removing these swords from the heart, but we're trusting our own spirit, trusting our spirit guides or our angels, God, whoever we sort of work with and pray to. We trust that, and we move into this place of the high priestess where we get a month of respite, and we get a month to sort of own ourselves in all aspects of ourselves. Then we go back and we revisit again, and we start to look at other thoughts and ideas and how they can maybe confuse us and they don't line up with maybe our emotional selves. And bringing those two into some semblance of a balance, really clearing away the clutter and the confusion in the month of August. And that sets us up for this beautiful card in September, which is the Ace of Wands. Now, Ace of Wands is all about the element of fire and the sort of the realm of the spirit. And when I look at this card, she's standing here, she's open, she's vulnerable, she's got this giant wand grounded right into the ground behind her. She's one with this wand, right? So I feel like come September, we are in this place of, and actually it's funny to me because August, September, I think is Virgo's birthday time. Correct? Yes, because my mom's a Virgo. So, it's funny, you guys might be kicking off feeling a little confused and in need of balance, but you'll be working towards that balance in the month of August. Come September, I feel like in the early part of September, or at least by late September, you guys will feel more aware and connected and conscious. It's like having done this work and cleared away this sort of confusion and finding this balance between your thoughts and your emotions and really owning it brings you to this place of spiritual clarity, brings you to this place of feeling solid and at one with yourself. Again, similar to like sort of this this high priestess card. But I have to say this high priestess, although she's beautiful and strong and all of these things, and she's aware of her faults and her attributes, she sort of I feel like there's a secrecy to her here, where in this Ace of Wands we allow ourselves to sort of shine as we are. We don't necessarily put any focus on whether something is good or bad. It just sort of is, and we are who we are, and we're able to embrace that at a very deep spiritual level and utilize that awareness and that understanding of ourselves to sort of be creating from a very empowered spiritual space in this month of September, right? So this gives us the opportunity, I would say, in September to watch out for ideas that come from what turns us on at a spiritual level, right? If things come about or ideas come out of nowhere that give us inspiration or turn us on in a way that feels very deep down at a soul level, that's this card. Those are the things that you want to focus on. Those are the things that you want to feed. Those are the things that you want to trust, okay? And we've done sort of this work within ourselves to move ourselves forward to get to this place and understanding that we can trust it. Now, the next card is for October. This is the King of Wands. So, I love that we go from the Ace to the King, because to me, I feel like he is sort of in a place of authority. He's wearing the crown on his head. He's stable with his staff here. He is regal and aware. There's a power, and he's not hiding in any way, shape, or form. And him being Wands is that element of fire. So to me, this feels like this will be a sort of productive month. And these 2 months here will be the months that we sort of maybe move ourselves forward in bigger, more outward ways. This to me feels like a more assertive and masculine energy, it being a king. So in October, be aware of that. Be aware of anything that inspired you in the month of September. You might actually be taking action and working on creating in the month of October. You'll be doing it from a place of authority, from a place of almost expectation, like almost talking at, like I would suggest, if you're not able to do this, but as an idea, I would say if you are creating stuff starting in September, I would start like talking as if it's already happening or in place by October, because there is sort of an expectation here, this being a king card, that you won't accept second best. You won't, and I'm not talking about from yourself, I'm talking about from the world around you. And part of that is that you deserve that, because, and I'm going to go back and revisit these majors. We have the High Priestess, we have the Chariot, and we have Temperance. You have the backing, and you've done the work this year to deserve the reward. And the reward comes in here, where the sense of self, and then really like placing that sense of self out front, in front of you, holding yourself with that so others can see it, right? To me, this high priestess, she tends to hide in the background and be more secretive. Yes, this is the building of one's intuition and the trusting of that, but this is actually putting that to work in the outside world from a deep spiritual level, right? Because we have the King of Wands, right? He is the element of spirit, wands, but we're working in the world with that authority, with that respect, demanding not demanding in a forceful way, but just expecting that respect and having had earned it through the actions that we've done and the work that we've done throughout the year of 2020. Now, the next card is for November. Wow. These two guys showed up in, was it Virgos? I mean, not Virgos. Was it Leos? These two kings showed up in somebody else's video. I think it might have been Leo, but I can't be 100% sure. But we have the King of Cups here. And I like that he's showing up here. And I feel like I'm getting a similar read from him that I did in that previous. Because I feel like this king to me is looking to the past. He's looking back and reflecting back on the months and understanding the work that's been done and the value in that work, right? Whatever we've done and wherever we've like pulled out these thoughts that don't serve us and sort of come to terms with them, release them, let them go, and been able to sort of free ourselves at a spiritual level and be ready to move forward. He sort of looks back in honor of that, and he accepts all of that work, and he acknowledges it and honors it by treating himself with a level of respect that is due. This king here is that emotional king, right? This is the king that is these emotions that we were working on in the 3 and the 6 of Swords, in the balancing of our thoughts with our emotions. This is the coming to terms with that and having that balance, having that ability to sort of be. I love that he is facing me straight on, and he's sort of holding his cup, holding his emotions like within his control, in his hand, outward and upward, right? In essence, like he's not ashamed of his emotions, he's not afraid of his emotions, he's in control of his emotions, he shares them sort of freely, but he has control over them. They're in this cup, right? So to me, I feel like this is my Virgos come November. You guys are feeling very content, self-assured, emotionally sort of settled. Things feel good. This King of Wands coupled with this King of Cups says to me that there's a definite what's the word I'm looking for? Like a reverence or a acknowledgement that's going to come during these months. I want you to pay attention to that, like starting in September even with this Ace of Wands. I think that people are going to start to treat you differently, treat you with this sense of respect, and also there is this sense of respect that's coming from you internally that you're projecting out into the world in these last 4 months of the year, and this is important stuff for you. So keep that in mind and try and hold yourself to that as you get to these latter months of the year, because this king to me feels like he's very much in the present moment, staring us dead on, staring right at us, staring right at the camera. He's aware emotionally of how he feels and what he deserves and how the work that he's done, right? So we get that at both the spiritual and emotional level. There's a definite connection that's happening there. Now, this last card is for your December card, and this is the 5 of Pentacles. Interesting. So we go back. We begin the year in the element of Earth, and we end the year in the element of Earth, which I like that aspect to it. But this is about, when I look at this young girl. She's sort of caught in this storm, and she's holding on to this flower as the wind blows her, and she is a flower in and of herself, right? She's sort of dressed as a flower. But what I think this is about, or what I'm hearing this is about, is all of this work that we've had here might be challenged come December. All of this sort of honor and respect that we're giving to ourselves, how much do we know that we deserve it? Because there might be some situations in December that want to sort of rock that boat. This girl, I feel like, through determination and sheer will, is not going to let this storm take her over. right? She is in her element of the sign of Pentacles. So my Virgos are in that element of the sign of, the element of Earth. So I feel like you guys are in your arena. But the question is are you, this is like, really, to be honest, the way that I'm seeing this is this feels like this is another test or experience that will happen at the material level in your environment that is going to challenge you on the work that you've done and the progress that you've made in the 3 months previous. And it's going to be up to you to put up sort of the fight or the will to hold on and know that you've got this. And you do have this, right? This girl is strong, she's able, she's willing to do whatever it takes to get herself there. And we have those attributes that we've sort of acquired and built over the last 3 months of this year. So utilize those skills, utilize those awarenesses and those strengths that you have sort of come across with these last 3 cards to sort of weather this storm and continue yourself forward into 2021 from this place of creating that with which you deserve. The outside environment might try and give you signs or signals that you don't deserve it. That's not true, though, is what I'm hearing. It's all part of, like I keep hearing when I look at this card, how bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? Do you really believe it? And part of the reason why I feel like that's the message in this card is because we have this 3 here and this 6 here, which is this sort of back and forth that we dealt with in the mid part of the year. And so this back and forth is causing us, yes, there's significant work that takes place in these months, the month of June and the month of August, but this is like that sort of final cementing of that work. Does that make sense, guys? This is us sort of really holding tight, holding fast in the month of December, letting the boat be rocked, and realizing that we will come out of this on the other side all the stronger for it. All right? It's not a horrible thing. This is a strengthening thing. Okay, I want you guys to understand that. This is definitely an opportunity in December for us to really make real everything that we've worked on for the year. Because Virgos, I'm going to tell you guys, this year, when I look at these cards, the significance that I'm seeing and feeling, and hopefully that I'm conveying to you, is that the work that you guys are doing this year will be deep emotional work and about the building of like real self-esteem, real belief in self and connection to your spirit. As you do that, you're going to be challenged with each sort of like step forward. You might get pushed back once just to sort of see like, okay, did you actually really adopt that? Did you really assimilate that knowledge? Did you really learn and take from that experience? This 5 of Pentacles in the end of December is sort of the cumulative how do I want to say it? I don't want to say test, and I don't want to say challenge, but there could very well be a situation that comes up that requires you to hold tight and through sheer determination and will stay a hold of that vision, right? Stay a hold of that earthy strength, that deep-rooted ability to ground that you as a Virgo have within your nature, because that's going to be what you sort of put out on an energetic level in the month of December that sort of heralds in 2021 for you. And 2021, if you hold tight to these attributes of the Ace of Wands and the King of Swords, or sorry, the King of Wands and the King of Cups, that beautiful energy that you have coming through in those months following August is hugely valuable and is long-lasting and will be taken into 2021 is what I'm hearing. And like I feel like that 5 of Pentacles is sort of your own element challenging you to really make sure that you have made the transformation, that you're not going to hand it over, that you're not going to sort of buckle and allow maybe others' opinions or others' ideas to affect you. Okay? So just keep that in mind come December. Definitely message me come December if something is coming up that's challenging you. I'd be interested in knowing if that's indeed the case. I don't like to leave these year-long things on a ooh, watch out sort of moment, but I don't think that this is a watch out moment in the sense that I do see strength in that girl, and it is your home element of earth. So you guys are, this is a challenge that you guys are totally prepared and skilled in meeting, and a strengthening and a deepening of a strengthening of the awareness of yourself and what you deserve that you want to have happen, so that 2021 you're set up for some great things. Okay? So, the next three cards that I'm shuffling for are what I call the Holy Trinity. This is health, love, and finance. Each card will represent an overall view of the year for those three items. But I want to say this, I am not a doctor. The health card should not trump anything a doctor says. If you need to go deal with some health issues, do not take my advice over a doctor. I am not a doctor. And I'm not a financial advisor either. So, you guys, these are just like little cards that might give you insight into what you might be dealing with this year around these three subjects. But please always seek the help of the professional advice of, medical professionals or financial professionals, or hell, even go like see a dating coach if you need to in the love department. But let's just see what's going on for my Virgos for 2020. So we have health, we have love, and we have finance. So our first card for health is the Ace of Swords. Okay, so I'm going to go with this right out of the gate. This totally makes me think about this Six of Swords and this Three of Swords here. You guys are this is all about sort of cleaning up your mental space to become healthier. To get, almost I want to say this is about you stopping second guessing yourself this year. I don't know what's going on with my Virgos, because you guys are earth signs and usually really grounded and practical and able to sort of move forward, but maybe you guys have had some experiences in the last few years that have sort of thrown you off your game or made you feel like you're not as centered as you need to be mentally. This is about, I love that you have this this is the Ace of Swords, right? This is about sort of cutting through the bullshit and getting to the core of it all, getting clean on all of it. I feel like there's a cleaning out or a cleaning of house. This sword going across the top here feels like you're slicing away the bullshit. You're slicing away the thoughts that don't work for you anymore. This is what this Six of Swords is about. This is what this Three of Swords is about. This is about revisiting some of these old thoughts, horrors, memories that haunt you, or you might not even be aware that they still haunt you, but they may come up this year, so that you can purge yourself of them, so that you can have a better connection to your health, right? But your health starts with you sort of in your mental state this year, and dealing with that with this sort of Ace of Swords card. This to me feels like a very beneficial card, so strides will be made in your area of health and around your thoughts about your health. But again, like I said, I am not a doctor, so if you are having health issues of any kind, please go to a doctor, see a doctor, take care of your health, and look at some of where your thoughts are at around your health. This to me, though, I am going to say feels like a clarity is about to happen this year around your way of thinking, how you process things, and how those things affect you at, say, a physical health level. And I think that this, to me, this card feels very triumphant. So if there are any Virgos out there that are watching that have been struggling with a health issue, this might be your year that you fix it. This might be your year that you find the awareness within your mental thought space that helps you to heal that or conquer it. But I do feel that this is an adjustment in your relationship to, if you have some sort of pre-existing condition or some sort of something that you've been struggling with, this is your opportunity. This year is your opportunity to sort of come clear on that and get some the mental clarity around it, so that you can sort of I want to say defeat it, but again, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not saying all your health concerns are gonna go away, but this could be about you're finding a way to sort of relate to your health situation in a way that's more beneficial to you, so that it makes it easier, and then you can start to feel better. Does that make sense? So take that as you will. The next card is for love. Wow. So this is the Magician. Okay, guys. Interesting. I'm going to say this. You have all the opportunity to create some love this year. If you're single, um, get ready to mingle. I think I think that this Magician card is highly beneficial in this position as far as the idea of creation, the idea of balance, the idea of bringing sort of the spiritual and the mental together. This also speaks to me about self-love too, not just love of another outside individual, but this is normally what I pull this position for is sort of romantic love that exists between two people. But I also see the balancing of this. We have this sword here. We have all of them here. There's the pentacle, the cup, the sword, and the wand. But what I was seeing on the either side of the infinity symbol was the wand and the sword, which you have a lot of swords and wands energy happening in your space this year. So this could be the balancing of all four of those elements for the Virgos. And in doing so, this enables you guys to understand your true creativity. Like I was saying earlier with these major arcana cards, it's like, why have you been second guessing yourself? Why have you been doubting yourself? So maybe by year's end or somewhere at the midpoint through the year, you start to come to some sort of idea that you do deserve love, or you do deserve that sort of opportunity to create a more deepened relationship with the pre-existing person that you are with, right? And this doesn't necessarily have to just be a romantic love. This can be our relationships with friends and family too. But we have the opportunity here to sort of create magic, deepen those relationships. 1 second. Stop licking the chair. Get down out of the chair now. I don't want you licking the chair. Get down. I know what time it is. You're not now. Get down. It's sorry, it's past 4. The dog wants his food. And so he's licking the chair, my meditation chair, which drives me nuts because it's all dog slobbery when I go over there. So this is about sort of finding that balance and creating those things that you want in your life. And like the Magician, you know, it almost seems like we're able this year to sort of create the impossible. You know, like we make magic within our relationships. So keep that in mind this year as you move through 2020, that you have this representing in your love department. This could be, like I said, romantic, familial, friendship, but anywhere where you experience love or want to create more love, that is fully available to you. In 2020. This is a very strong and powerful card. This also for health is a very strong and powerful card. So although it feels like there's some maybe ups and downs happening throughout the year this year for you guys, I think that this is going to be a definite, at least with these two cards, it's going to be a definite upgrade in your health department and your love department. Now, your last card is finance, and this is the Knight of Chalices or the Knight of Cups. Now, I don't mind this card. I feel like I don't mind this card. I feel like finances is going to be the last thing on the list this year for you guys. If there's some Virgos out there that are wanting some money, because we have a lot of these Pentacle cards up here, and there's a little bit of a focus of that with these Pentacle cards happening throughout. That's also this challenge maybe of money at the end of the year or around the material world. We have to see how much we're willing to hold on to it. This to me, the part of the reason why I say this is this horse is turned away. And I feel like he's sort of going in an opposite direction, or he's kind of not paying attention to us, or maybe we're not paying attention to our finances in 2020. Not that deeply, right? This being the Knight of Chalices or the Knight of Cups, to me, there is an honor, like I said, with knights, and there is a responsibility, a security, a protection, and a groundedness, right? But the Cups aspect of this adds this level of emotionality to the realm of finance, which I don't necessarily see as a... Yes, finances can be emotional, right? But I would be much more, if this were like, say, the Knight of Pentacles, that would be a much stronger card in this position. But because this is the Knight of Cups, it's sort of the opposing element in the financial realm. I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that what that is it's an opportunity to sort of balance our emotions around our money. we may feel a little bit uncomfortable while doing that this year. We may feel a little bit there is this balance that I feel like is happening, like I said, in the Six of Swords, where we're balancing the intellect and the emotions. There's a definite focus on emotional energy this year for you, and getting that back into balance and that belief in oneself back into place. And you have all these opportunities to do it, all of these beautiful major arcana cards. You have this Ace of Swords, you have this Magician card in the love department, and even this Knight of Cups is not a bad card to have in your financial sector, right? But it feels to me like there's some lessons to be learned here. There's some knowledge to be had. There might be some opportunities that feel a little bit out of place or a little bit unknown. You might have to make some changes financially, and part of the reason why I say that is because the horse is turned away and moving towards this castle, which says to me that you might have to move to something different or do something different in a way that doesn't necessarily feel natural or comfortable. Hence the Cups nature of this card versus it being, say, a Pentacles or even a Swords card, to me would feel more in line with finances versus the Cups card. But it's not a bad card. It just feels like, if really with this Ace of Swords and this Magician here, 2020 for my Virgos is going to be all about the sort of the clarity around your thoughts and your own health, and the sort of dominion over that arena. And then the Magician being in your love space is about not only the creation of love with others and those around you within your environment, but also your own sort of vision and esteem for self. And those are really powerful things. We get those things in line in 2020, and in 2021, which is maybe where this horse is heading, right? Do you see that? Like how he's kind of moving off that way, like going into next year. In 2021, we start to take these attributes that we're walking into 2021 with, and we utilize them to sort of start to create the financial structure and abundance that we truly want and deserve. But right now, 2020 for me in the Virgos feels like it's about health abundance and love abundance, and really finding that within ourselves so that we can take those energies and then start to work it out on the financial level. All right? And I have to say this. You guys are earth signs. You can make money. Like, it's not like money's ever, yes, money maybe has been an issue for you at times, but you've always sort of found your way out of it. I feel like that's sort of the situation for most of the earth signs, is that, like, money is kind of an energy that will always show up when you need it. And so it may not be like a ton of money this year, but it's around. Okay? So now the next card that I'm shuffling, the next deck that I'm shuffling is called Divine Doors. This is another mini deck that I love, that I never get to use, and it's all of these different doorways. So as I shuffle it, I'm asking Spirit, what doors are the Virgos opening or closing for the year 2020? Just to give us a little bit more further perspective of what are we working on, where is our focus, what are we opening or closing? What are we walking towards or away from in 2020? Okay. So I'm going to just describe this doorway a little bit for you guys. Now, this is a very old doorway, and it looks like it's in an abandoned building. And it's funny because my first thought about this doorway is that it's, when I was asking earlier, like, why is it that you guys are doubting yourself when you don't see these sort of like high major arcana cards? And it's like we go into this place of feeling empowered, and then we lose that empowered, we second guess ourselves. This is sort of it. This is what I feel like this doorway is. And I feel like this doorway is a closing of the past and moving out this door into the future, into the brightness and the light of the future. This doorway says to me that it feels like we have been through the mill as Virgos over maybe, say, the last year or two. That there's an acknowledgement that we've done some dark work or some shadow work. We've been through some stressful times, maybe in 2019, maybe even I'm hearing like in the last few years, like maybe even the last 5 years have been sort of struggle busts for my Virgos. And that's okay. Part of this is about moving ourselves through this doorway, shutting ourselves off to this darkness and this time of struggle or strife that we've gone through, because there's light at the end of the tunnel, right? There's this light and there's this newness, there's this fresh green growth out there, this sort of dilapidated existence that we've been in, we can let go of now. It's time. It's time to move into 2020 with a new sort of awareness. And that's what this first year of 2020 is about, is sort of this ebbing and flowing between this greatness of these major arcanas and then the self-doubt and the pulling out of the old beliefs and that sort of thing. It's like letting that stuff go. And we are truly walking through and shutting the door on that and stepping out through this door into the light. Now, let me see what this says. It says walkabout. You discover your path is sacred walkabout. The trees are your people. The earth is your tribe. In indigenous lessons, you find the will to survive. Okay, now, it says the earth is your tribe. You guys are earth signs, first off. That's the first thing that says to me. A walkabout is a sort of, I believe, an Aboriginal spiritual experience where they go out on a journey and they sort of connect with nature and ground into the earth and sort of find themselves. I'm not 100% sure of that, but I know it has to do with Aboriginal culture. But I am going to say this. This is about your walkabout in the year of 2020. You're sort of going into yourself, finding the areas that sort of maybe shedding light on the areas that where you have self-doubt or self-worth issues, and sort of really healing those areas, letting those areas change, transform, and become sort of strengths, right? And when you do that, I think that it says here, in indigenous lessons, you find the will to survive. That is this Five of Pentacles in December, guys. That is this girl that's holding on at the end of the year to everything that she's got and everything that she's made. And I'm not saying that things are going to be taken from you. I do think that there will be some sort of test come end of year that will want to sort of test your mettle. Do you have the will to survive? Did the walkabout of this last year, did we really truly close the door on the clutter and the memories of what we've been through, right? All of this rubble and darkness and all of that. Did we really walk away from it? Did we really learn something from it? Have we really transmuted it and turned it into sort of a basis for our knowledge and our ability, and embraced it as such and transformed it so that we can move forward in strength? Okay? Now, this next card that I'm doing is from the Whispering Woods deck, another mini deck. And this is just sort of like a theme card for the year for my Virgos. It's just a thought that's coming from nature, that from the Whispering Woods, that would give us some insight into, you know, maybe what we want to ground in, what we want to think about throughout the year, what the focus might be for the year. Just a little added something for further clarity for this. And please, again, like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. Let me know if this makes sense to any of you or doesn't. So, this is let go. Enjoy the pulsing light of the firefly, but don't hold on too tight. So, again, I think that this is about some of this Three of Swords, the Six of Swords in the mid-year. We've got these ideas, these thoughts that maybe are in the backs of our minds, or these memories of situations that we've just come through in the last few years, and sort of the letting go of that. I love that it says enjoy the pulsing light of the firefly, but don't hold on too tight. Keep that sort of it's this energy that we see here at the beginning with this Three of Pentacles, where it's this sort of ease that we enter into the year with. We want that throughout the year. Don't worry about any of this stuff too heavily. Just allow it to come into your experience. Allow yourself to release what doesn't serve you and sort of grow what does, right? And as you do that, you're building your strength, and you're building your ability, and you're building your opportunity to really truly create the things that you want in your life. You have these great cards representing for your health and your love sectors this year. So I feel like there's all of this opportunity to sort of grace yourself with those things if you do, you know, kind of let go and don't hold on too tightly to anything, any memories, anything that sort of doesn't serve you. Be willing to sort of release it, and you'll be fine. Okay? So I'm gonna leave you guys with that. I hope that makes sense. I hope that uh, you know, there is value in what I've just given you. Please let me know in the comments. I would greatly appreciate it. It's interesting. I'm looking at something right here. Do you guys see this right here? Do you see that blue in that crystal? Do you see that? I'm not quite sure where that blue is coming from, but that's the color of Archangel Michael. So I just want to point that out because you guys did have a lot of angels throughout your mid-year too. You had the Angel of Temperance, then the Angel in the Three of Swords. You had that Cupid in the Six of Swords. So I'm just looking at that blue through my camera screen because I don't see it when I look at the crystal myself. I am only seeing it through the camera, which is really weird on my computer. Do you see that right there? I can see it on my screen. And there's nothing on the shelves behind it that's blue. There's just some clear plastic boxes back there. It's weird. All right, I'm going to leave you guys with that. That is your 2020 yearly Tarotscope predictive. I hope you guys have a wonderful year. Remember, no matter what I've said, you can create the year that you want to have. Feel free to go about doing it. And please, you know, tune in with me at other times. Tell people about me if you feel as though people need to know about me. I greatly appreciate it, and I appreciate all the support that you've given me thus far. Have a great day. Bye-bye.